Welcome to today's installment of Tools of the Trade. Today I'm going to be talking about the different kinds of needles. When you're first starting out, I would really encourage you to try different types to see what works best for you and what kinds you like and which setups work best for you and how you want to set up your knitting tool bag. And I have worked with all of these types, and I will tell you which ones are my favorite as we go. So these here, we're kind of gonna move everything up. We'll start with these. This is what most people will start with. They are single pointed. You can see these are the ends that do the work, and they will have ends on them that will prevent your needles or your stitches from slipping off the end. These are what I started with. This is what a lot of people start with. They're very beginner friendly because, like I said, the needle or the stitches can't slip off the end, and they're not confusing as to what ends you're working with, where and you know which goes in which hand. They're really nice for that. The limitations are that you can only knit flat pieces with these needles, and you can only knit things that are as wide as your needles are long. So for scarves, for washcloths, for sweaters done in pieces, these are a really good option. So that is single pointed needles. They come in plastic, they come in metal. These are bamboo. So that's single pointed needles. After I'd had those a while, I moved on to these corded needles. They're also called circular needles. You'll see them referred to. And these are the same. They're just thinner needles and a longer cord. But both are considered circular needles. And they are fixed pointed, which means these tips are permanently attached to this cord. Same with these. These tips are permanently attached to this cord. These are 16 inches. The way that they are measured is from tip to tip, including the cord. They are 16 inches. These are perfect for sweater necks and hats. The circumference is about that big, and they're just really great for those. Also for flat pieces, you can knit flat pieces on this. You're just going to go back and forth instead of knitting in a round circle. And these can accommodate more stitches than those single pointed needles can. These are, I believe they're either 24 or 32 inches, I'm not sure, but also measured from tip to tip. One benefit of this is you can knit larger circumference circles. You can knit flat pieces that are even bigger. And also when we are doing magic loop, these are nice flexible cords, and we can knit smaller circumferences on these as well. I use these a lot. These are one of the favorites, for sure. And then a cousin to what I just showed you, which is the circular, is these are also circular. However, they are not permanently attached to this cord. These are Knit Picks interchangeable needles, and it comes with a little key, and there's a little hole in the cord, in the metal part of that cord, and so this just holds it to make it easy to twist off. So I can do different size tips with the same cord. This is nice for if you are knitting, let's say you're knitting a sweater and you're getting to the bottom ribbing band and you need a smaller needle size. You can just swap it out with the cord still attached to your knitting piece and go ahead and switch them to a different size and just continue knitting right there. Also, if you're knitting a piece that's getting bigger and bigger, so say you're doing a blanket from the middle out, it allows you to put bigger cords on the needles as your piece is getting bigger and needs a longer cord to accommodate that. I also really like these because you're buying fewer whole pieces. These tips are a little bit cheaper than if you would buy the whole thing, for example. And if you're needing different sizes, if you don't know your particular knitting gauge very well, and you're still doing a lot of gauge swatches, that you might need to go up or down a needle size, then these might be the way to go so that you're not buying as many needles. That's just another reason why these are good. I also love these. Last are double pointed needles. You'll see this is the only pair of double pointed needles I own. You won't see that. What you will see is that I still have the package, because I have tried using these one time, decided they weren't for me, and I'm doing magic loop for the rest of my life. But I do own a pair, and I'm glad so that I can show you. They usually come in sets of 5. Both ends, you can work with both ends, and which is needed because when you are using these, you would have them. These are used a lot for socks or smaller circumference knitting. So you would have stitches on each one of these and you're knitting with your 5th one, you're knitting around in a circle. And just with any 2 at a time. I used to see these, and I'm going to find a picture online so you can get a better idea of how these work. But I used to think, oh, look at all those needles when I saw somebody using double pointed needles. But you're really only ever using 2 of them at one time. So I would say use these 2 needles and knit the stitches that are on this needle. Then I would switch to these 2 and knit just on these 2. And so that's how you work your way around. It's still too fiddly for my preference. But again, this is why I recommend everyone try all the different types and see what you like best, because a lot of knitters prefer double pointed needles. So there we have it. We have single pointed needles, we have fixed circular needles and interchangeable circular needles, and double pointed needles.